I am. Okay.
Hi.
Yay. Yay. Good morning. Happy Easter, everybody. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Lori. Lori, I see you're wearing your Easter hat.
Good
I'm
morning.
wearing an Easter hat. Thank you so much for joining us today. I went on an Easter egg hunt in my house and ended up in you won't believe this, but this is called the Blue Room. And what I found here on my Easter egg hunt, there were really bottles of wine everywhere, which was really exciting. And so I found this beauty here, Joy in Magnum, which is really perfect for Easter. Easter being a celebration of faith, hope, and joy. So here is my joy right here. You can't have too much joy. And this is vintage 2005, Blanc de Blanc, and aged 13 plus years on the yeast in the bottle. And oh, I see Lori is about to open your bottle there. That's great. I hope everybody is either has their bottles open or, oh my God, that was beautifully done. Not even a pop, unlike the way I do it. It's supposed to be just an angel sigh. But if you're all ready, I would like to please propose the first toast of the day, and this, is hopefully going to inspire you to begin sipping along with me. So, cheers. Happy Easter. This is a very different way of celebrating Easter. We're so used to being together, but here we are together apart. So, cheers. Cheers. I can't wait till we can go back to hugging and kissing. That's the part that I missed most. I used to evaluate every day on how many kisses I would get and hugs, and now, so I'm at a deficit. I'm at a deficit right now. So I don't know.
Let me tell you what's going on here. We have about 48 attendees. I'm seeing in 5 or so, it's almost to 50 now, and they're going to be coming in probably at a pretty high clip. We had a couple hundred people that were registered for this. My name is Jeff Stevenson. This is my wife, Lori. We're longtime friends of Joy Sterling. I was a winemaker many, many years ago, and I met Joy, and we're both in Sonoma County, so we sort of share this passion. And my company does webinars, and we have this technology, so I offered to host these virtual tastings for Joy. That's why we're here, and we're enjoying, what are we enjoying today?
Show the camera.
We are enjoying.
Yay!
Classic
Vintage Brut.
Here you go.
That is my mother's favorite of all of our sparkling wines. And it's, we think of that as really the flagship of our bubblies because it expresses everything that we want to convey. And that is for each glass to send off memory bells that say champagne, 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 except that the fruit is unmistakably California, Sonoma County, Russian River, Green Valley, and most specifically Iron Horse. But in terms of quality and finesse, which is a matter of the technology, it stands at the same table with all of the best. So that's how we feel about the Classic Vintage Brut. So it's the flagship or the mainstay of our bubblies. The Joy, which by the way is Joy exclamation point, because it's really emphatic joy. It's more joy than I am. And it really started strangely as an accident. Amazingly, we found bins of old magnums of bubbly that had been lost and long forgotten, which is really quite extraordinary when you consider that we theoretically do a physical inventory every month. So it's hard to imagine how these bins just got lost, but they materialized. They were all different vintages, and the question was what to do with them. So we decided to start this program of having Joy exclusively in Magnum, aged 12 to 13 years on the yeast in the bottle. So the current release is 2005, and I can look here at the back of the bottle and tell you that it was disgorged last November. So November 2019. So that's 13 plus years aging on the yeast. And the beauty of the longer time entourage is that it results in smaller bubbles. What's happening is as the yeast cells break down in the wine, they, first of all, through a chemical process, give you the richness and creaminess that you expect in your bubbly. And also, they're coating the bubbles with amino or fatty acids. So when the bubbles jump up off of the bottom of your glass, they don't glom together, so they stay separate. And that is the hallmark of quality, which is why tête de cuvée, aged longer, late disgorged, is, as we technically say, more better. And well, yeah, that's what it's about. What did you all have for Easter brunch or breakfast before brunch?
You want to see what we did?
Yeah.
Well, if you were on the lucky enough to be on the first webinar from last week, you'll recall that I made some English muffins that were from Model Bakery, and this is them rising. And of course, they take a long time to rise, and by the time they were done, this is what they look like. They just came out absolutely beautifully. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what we had. That was last week. And this week, my wife made us French toast.
Oh, how beautiful.
With a fruit compote. So that's what we had. Let's see what some other people had. Bagel lox and Chinese tofu, said someone. We're just waking up, said somebody else. I'm confused. Is Joy, what? Cinnamon roll from Yellow Dog Bakery in Raleigh, North Carolina. Oh, very good.
Wonderful.
I drank Ocean Reserve yesterday. Simple American breakfast, bacon, eggs, toast, and fried country potatoes.
Ooh, yum. Yum.
Chelsea rolls with cardamom sultanas. Sultanas and cream cheese, lemon icing. Corned beef hash and poached eggs. Skilled cheddar quiche with hash brown crust. Oh, God, that sounds really good. Orange rolls and appetizers. Also Chinese cuvee. We had Chinese cuvee last Sunday. It was amazing. Matzah and Ocean Reserve. All right. Quiche plus
bacon. Did you have matzo brie? Did they have matzo brie? That's one of my favorite post-Passover dishes, where you cook the scrambled eggs with the matzah in there. Oh my God, it's so great.
Eggs. I had it about 25 years ago on a boat, and it's one of the most incredible things I've ever eaten. It was just
one of my favorite. Hey, Jeff, show them my eggs.
Oh yeah.
Your egg, yes. So Joy got very creative, and she made an egg for breakfast as well.
Well, I didn't make them. I sourced them. I assembled them.
Okay, you're gonna have to do some explaining here.
Those are my eggs. Now, amazingly, those Easter eggs are chocolate. The whites are white chocolate, and those gorgeous yolks are marzipan. And they were so delicious. And of course, all you really, fabulous chocolate and bubbles is kind of winning. Oh, look how they look just like eggs. I mean, they were so much fun to eat. And then I want you to see my, this is my Easter card, which I just think is so cute. But my favorite thing to say at Easter is to make sure you know that some bunny loves you. This bunny loves you. So we had a great experience this week. We asked our winemaker, David Mungsgaard, to go in the vineyard and give us a little update on what is happening. Amazingly, amidst COVID-19, Mother Nature is just running her course. There is no way to cancel Vintage 2020. We are moving forward. The grapes are growing beautifully, I might add, which is incredibly reassuring. You know, again, Easter is about hope and optimism and rebirth and renewal. So, what better way to experience that than with the beauty of the vineyard at this gorgeous stage of its growth? So,
How'd you like to
Jeff,
see?
if you could do that.
You got it. It's on its way. Here we go.
Hi, I'm David Monksgard, the winemaker for Iron Horse Vineyards, and I'm standing at a Pinot Noir vineyard up on Thomas Road. In the distance, you will see the winery. That is where we're actually bottling right now some of our sparkling wines from last harvest. So it's an exciting time. In the vineyards, the vines have woken up. What we did during the winter was we pruned each one of these shoots that used to be about this far, about that long rather, down to 2 buds. Now when warm weather comes, each one of those buds, we hope, will only push 1 shoot, just like this right here. But nature being nature, sometime that bud wants to push more than 1 shoot. But we only want 1 shoot. So what we do is we come out here and remove any unwanted shoots so that we can then train this shoot and that shoot along with these others right up through these training wires. The hope being that the shoots don't fall over and that we're allowing airflow to get right through that canopy, pulling away all the moisture that leaves just naturally release as the day goes on. That'll give us healthier, sound grapes, grapes with more flavor, grapes with better color, because as the sunlight strikes those clusters once they form, and they'll all be forming right here in this area right here. As the sunlight hits those clusters, magical things happen in the clusters, giving us wines with fruitier flavors and wines with beautiful, beautiful color. Exactly what we want for our wines here at Iron Horse. We at Iron Horse can't wait for the day when we see customers out there at our tasting room, and I know you feel the same way too. Until then, be safe.
Okay.
So I had a costume change. You know, it's like a halftime show.
Exactly. Starring Grace.
Well, also, you know, I have a weakness for hats, and yet I never wear them. So this is just I'm going to put them all on today. I mean, what the heck? Hey, I think you have some raised hands there, Jeff. I see Don Williams wants to.
You know what, Don? Here, I'm going to let you talk. Go ahead and say whatever you want to ask a question, Don.
No, actually, you were looking earlier to see what people were having. We have this marvelous asparagus and hard-boiled egg salad that we're eating right now with bacon that we're having with the, let's see, which vintage is that? We have the classic vintage brut from 2010.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
It's gorgeous.
Well, you know what's great about that is that it shows you how beautifully our sparkling wines age. The current release, we just switched, or we are about to switch from 2015 to 2016. So drinking 2010 shows you what happens when you resist opening the bottle. And of course, I know that you can do that because, Don, you have a beautiful collection of Iron Horse. So thank you so much for that. But what happens is that the wines, it's like a rose opening up. You get broader flavors and also more of a nuttiness and a little more weight in the wine, more complexity in the wine. It's really quite remarkable. We get emails from people asking, oh, you know, we've got a 2005. Is that going to be okay? And that, I have to say, that makes me a little nervous. That's asking a lot of a bottle of bubbles. However, our anecdotal experience is that they just age fabulously. Not that we recommend that. We'd like you to drink them and enjoy them and order more, I'll be honest. Do you have any other questions there, Jeff?
Anybody want to ask a question, raise your hand. And if you want to be on the video, just do a question and answer and say video, and I'll happy to promote you to join the show here.
So what we're doing in the winery right now is pretty fun. We're, as David mentioned in the video, you could see the winery a little bit in the background, the red cluster of buildings, is we are amazingly bottling the 2019 vintage of sparkling wine. The first one to get bottled was the Joy, which is astonishing to think that we'll be drinking that in 2033, 2034, somewhere in there. So that's a reason to live, to say the least. So we'll be bottling all next week. It is incredibly gratifying and calming for us to be able to be engrossed in the normalcy of growing grapes and making wine. David wasn't wearing a mask because he was pretty much on his own there. But I don't know if how many of you have met Acacia, who is our concierge at the tasting room on the weekends. But she has been sewing masks for everybody at the winery. So next we meet, I'll show you her. They're a little girly, but that's okay. You know, the guys in the vineyard they can cope.
This is from Larry Cabrita. Joy, do you have any special memories of this season growing up?
Oh my goodness. You know, I do. This is a long time ago. So this was when my brother was 13. We went to Israel with my grandfather, my mother's father, Grandpa Joe, and we celebrated my brother's bar mitzvah in April. So it was also Holy Week in Jerusalem, and it was absolutely the most amazing experience to be on the mound and have all of the religions at once saying their prayers in the same holy place. It was the most inspiring experience of my life, and it gave me this amazing realization that fundamentally religions, although sadly we go to war over them, but fundamentally there's so much in common. It was a very moving experience.
Joy, any Israeli sparklers that you can recommend?
Oh my gosh, I bet there are some. I just don't know them, which is, you know, it's weird. I know some of the English sparkling wines, and of course, Israeli wines are gaining recognition like crazy. I'm afraid I'm just not familiar. It is astonishing, though, to think that that wine is being made in Israel. The original, if my history is correct, the first wine, I think, at least according to lore, and there's some archaeological evidence that it's true, is that the original wine was on Mount Ararat, which would have been, in theory, where Noah's Ark landed. So that's kind of interesting.
Okay, we have Randy Rudier joining us.
Oh, Randy! Hi, Randy!
And he's going to have to unmute his mic and start his video. If he can figure out how to do that. On the lower left-hand corner of Zoom, all you have to do is unmute and then start your video as well, and you should be good.
We're unmuted, but it says host has to allow video. Host to stop video.
Make co-host. There you go. I'm going to make you a co-host. There you go. Oh, there's a set change. Another set change is coming.
Oh, costume change.
There you go. Hi, Randy.
Hello, Joy.
Hi, Joy.
Hey, Randy!
Where are you guys?
From Beach Point in New York.
Buddy!
Oh, cool.
Oh, you are so, you know, these are my, everybody on this call, you are my friends. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is really special.
Pennsylvania, Texas, Dallas, Georgia, Raleigh, North Carolina, Madison, Missouri. Oh my God, Austin, Texas, upstate New York, Buffalo, New York. all over the place. It's just great.
What are y'all drinking, Randy?
Oh, we're drinking a little of everything. We started with Bloody Marys and switched to mimosas and screwdrivers.
Cool.
Well, it's already 1:30 here.
Oh, good. Right. Well, you're ahead of me, I have to say. But not. I'll catch up. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. Have a great Passover and happy Easter.
Randy, you got
Thank
any
you.
questions for Joy?
Do you have any questions?
No questions.
No
No
questions.
questions, all answers. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this is so great. This is really fun. Well, I'm going to have lunch later on with my parents, which is going to be fantastic. You know, my dad is 90 and my mother is 88. So we're keeping them, you know, protected in like cotton. You know, no one can touch them. Don't touch them. They are so incredibly precious. But my brother and I are so lucky to get to live at Iron Horse with them and see them. I know how hard it is for some people. I have a friend who's, this is so sad, whose mother is in a nursing home, and the only way she can see her is through a window, and it's just so heartening. So it makes all of us being together and counting our blessings all the more essential. You have another question there, maybe?
Actually, we've got a special guest here in just a second. Actually, a couple of them. You have a phone team here with Sarah, Mark.
Oh!
Hey!
Sarah! Sarah, how many people watching know Sarah but have never seen her face?
Raise your hands.
Let's wait, say something, Sarah, so they recognize you.
Sarah, you got to unmute your microphone. You're muted. Hi, Dan. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry about
I can
that.
hear you. How are you?
Hey, this is your fabulous Iron Horse phone team. These folks work for Joy.
Gosh, do you hear their voices? Do you recognize them? And now when you next get a call, you'll say yes, yes, please.
Nah.
Oh, look at your backdrop. You've got Dan. You've got Iron Horse behind you. Sarah, you look great.
I've
Nice
got
to
the
see you.
ceiling behind me. You know, home office. It's a little different.
Well, I thought you
Yes.
said feeling, and that's what I feel is behind you.
Oh.
You have the feeling behind you.
I do have the feeling behind me.
Steve Eastwood in wherever you're from says we are huge Sarah fans.
Oh, hi.
Aw.
Did
Sweet.
you say that was Steve
Yeah.
Eastwood? Yay. I know. I
It
know
is
him
the
well.
Sarah.
I feel like...
Oh, that is so nice.
For your folks that you talk to when they call you.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so fun. Oh my gosh, that is so great. It really is. So this week coming up, you know what's amazing is tomorrow is going to be Monday, and I'm wondering, does everybody feel like you're settling into a routine, or does it still feel totally upside down? For me, I feel like I'm settling into a routine. Of course, it's not that dramatically different for me because my work is my home, and you know, so everything is all wrapped up together in one place and one heart, beating heart, if you will. But one of the things that we're finding is all the new ways like this, like today, all the new ways to communicate. But I'm wondering if everybody else is feeling settled or if you're going stir crazy.
So I've got a couple of comments here I'm going to read. As a physician, this is from Peter Gillespie. As a physician, I still go to work daily. My husband worries about me every day, but we must keep going. Absolutely. So we've got a question here from Tom Pearson. I have always heard that you should drink your sparkling wine within 7 years. Is it true as a rule, and what would you consider ideal time to open?
today. Today is the ideal time to open. Do you notice my do you notice my costume change? I got to get all my hats in. So 7 years. I've never heard that rule, and I'm personally not one for rules per se, particularly when it comes to wine. My experience is just when I think I know exactly what I'm going to like and what's going to happen with the wine when we're doing a dosage tasting or blending, the reality amazes you. I'll give you a perfect example, and then I will answer the question, but I'm giving myself a little time to think here. But we did a dosage tasting on Friday, and amazingly, the third trial wine technically was drier, i.e. had less dosage, less sugar, and yet, strangely, it tasted, quote, sweeter, unquote, and richer. So, and this happens so often. Again, just when I think I know everything there is to know, I taste something that totally says, oh, well, you can just throw that rule out of the window. 7 years, well, it sounds lucky. So for that, I would go with it on its own. But
Carl Gamble says Iron Horse wines have never lasted that long in my house. That's for sure.
Yes,
For
yes,
sure.
I'm going from thumbs up to okay to I heart you. Thank you.
Sarah,
Well, but
Yeah.
it is interesting, and I happen to like the flavors of older bubbly. It's not for everyone, but there's definitely, let's just face it, it's oxidation, so you get aged characteristics, and weight and nuttiness, as I said earlier, and also the bubbles over a long period of time, like a decade or more. The bubbles are going to decrease. There is so it's going to become more whiny, if you will. But as I say, the 7-year rule sounds just like it's lucky.
So Mark Polak says we're drinking a 2010, 9 years old, and it's pretty good. I can only imagine. 2002 rare champagne from Mike and Karen Dutch, drinking fabulously now. There you go. Sarah, what's your favorite wine of Iron Horse?
It's like picking a favorite child. You can't have, and I don't have children.
What do you like?
I love our wedding cuvee. I love what Joy's drinking, the Joy Blanc de Blanc, and the Ocean Reserve is always a go-to for me. It's gorgeous. I feel like it's refreshing, and it has a great story behind it because money goes towards keeping the oceans clean and safe, and so I feel really good about that when I'm drinking it. But it's hard to choose.
Yeah, you sold some of that.
I've sold a lot of that. That's a good one.
And in fact, I've talked to Dan before too. Dan, what's your favorite Iron Horse wine?
Again, it's like picking your favorite child, and I only have one, so he's always my favorite. But no, I really love the Blanc de Blanc too. I think it's perfect in the spring. The Ocean's Reserve it's so bright and refreshing, and the acidity levels are just perfect on a nice sunny spring day. I've really loved this winter, the Russian Cuvée. I think that little extra weight in the body was just perfect to get through those little bit of a cooler days that we had there at the tail end of winter. And I love them all. I think they all have their own unique story and their own unique flavor profile that it's hard to pick a favorite. It just depends on what day it is, really.
Well, here's some more comments from Don Williams. After 15 years of being stored poorly, the 1991 wedding cuvee was sublime in 2006.
Stored poorly? What are you talking about?
Well, I don't know. Peter Gillespie says, oh my God, we only have 2 bottles of Iron Horse left. Time to order more.
Yay! Sarah, take a number. Take a number. I hate to say it. It's sort of embarrassing. I hate to be so pushy. Bossy, but it's kind of my nature.
Wine, right?
Huh?
Everybody's got to buy some wine to keep you going.
Oh my God, yes. Well, it keep us all going in more ways than one. You know, I just want to reflect a little bit. Number one, on the Russian cuvee, I have been personally very surprised at the amount of the number of orders we are receiving for Russian cuvee. It is really, for many people, it's a favorite. I think because it is the richest of our sparkling wines, and it too has a great story behind it. I don't know if you remember this, but Russian cuvee commemorates ancient history 35 years ago when the Reagan administration chose Iron Horse for the summit meetings with Mikhail Gorbachev. And all of the historians agree that the two superpowers were simply poles apart until that moment when they were clinking glasses, and just like that, the wall came down. So as you can imagine, all this time, my family has taken complete credit for ending the Cold War. You're welcome. You're welcome. And now we're attempting to save the planet with Ocean Reserve. And as I'm sure you're aware, as it's circled in red on your calendar, April 22nd is Earth Day, and it is amazingly the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which is just astonishing. And there were huge protests and planned, particularly amazingly at banks that funded fossil fuel companies. So, but those are clearly not going to happen. So, what is an interesting byproduct of COVID-19 is how the air of the globe and the waters of the globe have improved measurably in just 3 weeks. Nature's ability to heal is really astonishing. I've heard reports that there are dolphins swimming in the canals of Venice.
Yeah.
That the water, you can actually, you can see through the water. That the Himalayas, the air is so clear you can see the Himalayas for the first time since World War II from 250 miles away. Over China, the air is so much cleaner, although they're now starting to ramp back up. It's just fascinating. It's just fascinating to me how quickly that is turned around. And I will be very interested to see if that continues. And so on for Earth Day, we're going to be drinking Ocean Reserve. Let's see, we're on vintage 2016. Our first vintage of Ocean Reserve was 2005. We give $4 a bottle, sold to National Geographic's Ocean Initiative, and the production level is about 1,000 cases a year. So you can do the math. I mean, it's really accumulated, and I applaud you all for saving the planet one sip at a time.
This is a great segue. Someone asked another question. Are there any new sparkling wines in the works that you can chat about?
Well, we have a new club shipment coming up, and we just the other day did the dosage tasting for Rainbow Cuvée. So the new vintage of Rainbow will be in the club shipment. We make about 400 cases of Rainbow Cuvée, which is our toast to diversity, and we sell out of that very, very quickly. We also have disgorged a limited amount, about 200 cases of Fairy Tale Cuvée.
Oh, that's the Disneyland wine, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's the house wine of the Magic Kingdom.
That's shut down right now, unfortunately. So you got
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a lot of it, but what we have, we're going to put into the upcoming club shipment. So there are perks of membership in our, to be a member of our wine clubs. We're not planning a new cuvee per se, but we were talking on Friday that gratitude is going to take on even more importance. That wine benefits the Redwood Empire Food Bank, and the food banks are just in such dire need right now. So we're thinking about how we can do more with gratitude when we release it. Typically, we release it in October, but and I don't think we'll move up the release date, since who knows when we're going to return to normal anyway.
So
But
Carl Gamble says the 2012 gratitude is fantastic today, which means he's opening it.
yay, yay! Well, every day is Thanksgiving, and
Here's a question about ordering wine that came in from someone. Looking forward to ordering it again. Is it possible to elect FedEx for shipping? We have some challenges with the other one.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Answer is
we're
yes.
pretty much a yes winery.
There you go. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we'll do whatever you want.
So Joy.
And we're also, I just want to make a little plug. We are offering $1 shipping on orders of 6 bottles or more, and whatever shipper you choose, we will honor that.
Awesome. So what are you making for Easter dinner?
And everybody.
Yeah. And that question goes to everybody else too.
Well, mine is already made. I've got a Magnum here.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm all set. I have chocolate eggs and chocolate Easter eggs and a Magnum of bubbles. I'm set. But I'd love to hear what others are doing.
Lamb chops and Joy, honey ham, asparagus and potatoes. Rack of asparagus, baby potatoes, flourless chocolate cake, one of my personal favorites. Raspberry and pistachio tart. Oh, that sounds amazing. Reese's peanut eggs and Russian cuvee.
Goes with everything.
That's great. So here we go. Filet, crab cake, asparagus, key lime pie. Oh, beautiful.
I would be there.
Yeah, no kidding. Crab cakes are amazing. I can only imagine. And I wonder where Kate Kimmel is. If you're on Maryland crab cakes, I'm sure. Best new pairing, lasagna. Wow. Okay, so you want a quick story about lasagna?
Sure.
So about, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago, my wife and I were at, let's not mention it. Another bubbly place in Napa, okay? And the day went on.
Do they make bubbles in Napa?
They do.
No,
oh, wow. Israel, I know, but Napa? Really?
It was Sonoma. And we were there early, and the day went on. And as we went on, they had one of those silent auctions. And of course, as you drink more and more, you get more and more generous with silent auctions, right? Because they benefit the environment, they benefit needy people, and all kinds of great concerns. So my wife and I felt very inspired by one of the gifts that was being given.
No, that was all you, actually.
Well, okay, so I was feeling very inspired. So I plunked down my money, and I ended up buying a vacation for 12 people in Italy.
At a farmhouse.
At a farmhouse in Italy. And so I'll show you where we actually went, and then what we made, because it's what we're going to be making for brunch today. Or for dinner. Yeah. So this is the farmhouse that we got to rent. I'm not even going to tell you how much we paid for it. We were very buzzed when I actually bid on this thing, so you can only imagine. But I ended up going with a 5-star chef, Jeff Riley from the Duck Club, and Jeff is an amazing chef. And it was a very beautiful place. And as part of the package, we ended up getting a cooking lesson from a chef in Italy, because I knew that my buddy Jeff, the 5-star chef, who's literally cooked for ambassadors. We cooked at the U.S. Embassy in Paris, France. We've cooked for the United Airlines executive staff. We've done a lot of cooking together. And so he said, let's get a cooking lesson from one of the premier chefs in Italy. So we did. We actually also met up with some folks from Bordeaux. This individual works for Mouton Rothschild. So he brought a bottle of Mouton Rothschild, which was amazing. And so this is part of the cooking demonstration that we went to. We actually got to cook in this kitchen with these chefs, and they made homemade lasagna with homemade noodles, homemade bechamel sauce, homemade spaghetti sauce. And here is the chef now putting the bechamel on the vegetarian lasagna.
No, that's not the vegetarian.
So the vegetarian lasagna is what we are making tonight. That's my wife's absolute favorite, and she made the request, and so that's what we're making for our dinner tonight. I actually made homemade ricotta cheese too out of milk yesterday.
Ah,
Because
oh,
the
great.
ricotta was gone, you couldn't find any ricotta. I'm like, I know how to make ricotta. So I made ricotta yesterday. I made a pound of ricotta out of a gallon of milk.
Can people hear me?
You can.
So what was interesting about the lasagna is that one of the couples that we invited, the wife doesn't eat meat. So we asked them if they could do a meat version and a vegetarian version. And they did, and it was amazing. But the thing was that everybody agreed the vegetarian version was better. So that's what Jeff's making tonight. And it has some really unique ingredients in it. It's got chopped up artichokes, sunchokes, and mushrooms and carrots and onions. It's really amazing.
And a bechamel sauce, of course,
Right,
mozzarella cheese
no
and
tomatoes.
ricotta, no tomatoes. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And of
So-
course, we make our own pasta as well.
So do I see that, Don, do you have your raised hand again? Does Don want to say something again, I hope?
I did. I just wanted to answer your question about the 91 wedding cuvee. I bought it I was on a trip and I bought it in some shop in Philadelphia because I had this notion I was going to marry this wonderful lady that you know, Bonnie.
Ah? Oh,
And
is
then
she there with you, by the by?
She is.
I'm here.
Hi, Bonnie.
It sat around for a long time, and part of it was, well, I was driving buses in the summer. It sat in my apartment at 90-some degrees for the summer for several years. It was just, it didn't get treated very well. That's what I meant by being, whatever. But as I said, 15 years later, I got tired of waiting. We're going to open this. We're not married yet. We got married a couple of years after that, as it turns out. But we're going to open this. It was.
Oh, that is so sweet. I'm sorry.
Right now, the 2008 Estate Chardonnay is drinking very, very well. But better than it should be, maybe. But
definitely aged.
That was an accident. That got lost in the cellar. I just found it last night. And
yeah, sometimes things get lost in the cellars, and we got to go hunting, right?
Well, that's fine. It's exactly. It's the equivalent of the Easter egg hunt, which So yeah, that's perfect. That's first of all, I want to say thank you so much. It is an honor and a privilege to be part of your special occasions and celebrations.
Oh, the honor is ours.
And one way that I know that we are really all family is here we are just talking about food.
Food and wine.
Food and wine. In my immediate family, at breakfast we're talking about lunch, at lunch we're talking about dinner, and here we are doing absolutely the same thing. Jeff, I don't know if you have any more questions, but I'm thinking maybe it's time for everybody to get on with their day.
A couple of comments. I love a good love story, especially when it involves bubbles. What a great comment.
Oh, yes.
That's great.
Yes.
So the other question, somebody said, where was the farmhouse? And it was in a tiny, tiny little town called Colmerano.
Yes. In a place that nobody ever visits, which is called Le Marquet.
Amazing.
And so when we went to the airport, everybody's like, "Oh, Americans, where are you traveling?" We said Le Marquet. Like everyone's like, "Why are you going there?" Because there's nothing there. But that's what made it so beautiful for us. I mean, we ran into like nobody that speaks English, and I mean nobody. Maybe one person.
And it was great. So what a magical trip that was. And it's so sad what's happening to Italy, but you know what? Like all great things, it'll get better, and we'll all go back once again, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Joy, hope to see you and your wine when we finally go to have our reunion from Gary Kubek.
Thank you. Yes, I am looking forward to reunions. Definitely. I miss you.
And another one, thank you for doing this. What a great break from the madness. So we have over 70 attendees, I think, to this. There was 110 people that were registered. And so I'm thinking this is, Joy, you're going to have to, get used to this. This is like new normal, right? You're going to have to do some more of this.
Well, if you're game, I'm game. Okay. I am having a great time doing this. So until you get tired of me, you won't be able to get rid of me.
I'm going to have to come down and install a wireless repeater in your cellar, so that we can do a little live video feed from the cellar and see what goes on in the racking area and your bottling line. And it's such an interesting tour that you give. and your property is just so amazingly beautiful.
Well, I'd be happy to do that. Very
Well,
happy to do that. So
That's
let's work on that. We need a
definitely
new locale.
There you go. We can definitely do that in an upcoming webinar for sure.
Yes,
Fantastic.
I just want to thank all my friends for being here today. Thank you very much.
Cellar tasting via Zoom. Awesome. Somebody just said. Okay, perfect. We'll make it happen. We'll figure a way to how to do it for sure. Okay, Joy, any lasting thoughts, parting comments before we end?
Yes, parting comments. Mwah.
I totally agree.
Mwah.
I love you, Joy. Thank you for doing
Love
this.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Happy
guys.
Easter, everybody.
Watch
Happy
your emails for the
Easter.
next one. You'll see another invite. Same bat channel, different bat date, but tune in again. Okay, guys. Thanks.
Cheers.